Coming up, we'll get you caught up on the latest action from the high school hardwood around the region, including another edition of the Thunder Report.
We have the chance to see a lot of great players, but none may be as versatile as Myah Selland. We'll go one-on-one with this future Jackrabbit.
All that plus our picks for some of this week's biggest games. It's all coming up just ahead on Varsity Sports. And hello and welcome to Varsity Sports alongside Jason Andera. I am Jay Elson. Another heavy dose of high school hoops coming your way here over the next 30 minutes. But before we get into all that, I want to remind you about the special edition of Varsity Sports. It's coming your way 1 week from tonight. That is our annual football signing day special. Next Wednesday, February 1st, we'll give you an in-depth look at the players from across North and South Dakota who have now, or at that point, finalized their commitments to the schools of their choice.
Yeah, in 2 weeks, we'll get back to the hardwood, but it's always fun to take a little break, talk a little football, talk a little signing day with some of the future college football players.
Christmas in February,
That's right?
All right, well, with that, let's waste no more time. It's back to basketball in this week's edition of your high school hoops headlines. We'll start at the Hanson Classic, which, as you've heard us suggest before, has become a state tournament preview of sorts. The event attracts the best teams from Class A and B in South Dakota, and they meet in Mitchell for some great matchups inside the Corn Palace. Here's a quick recap of the action from last Saturday. White River rolled Parkston 61-39. Tri-Valley handled Winter 57-40. Chester gave Woolsey Wessington their first loss of the year, 66-56. T-Area put together a big fourth quarter to race past Roncalli. Ethan and Noah Friedel had 19 and 18 respectively for the Titans. That's the fifth win in a row now for T-Area.
Starting to catch fire a little bit. Bridgewater Emory didn't have their normally fluid offense going, but their defense was good enough to get them a 46-39 win over the defending Class B champion Warner Monarchs. Sam Arend led the Huskies with 14. They remain unbeaten.
All right, well, it started raining a short time later inside the Corn Palace. Raining threes, that is. Sioux Valley hit a school record 15 triples, while Tommy Moore drained 12 more. By the way, the Cossacks have already eclipsed that school record as they hit 17 threes Monday night against the Smet. As for this game, though, Tate Vincent's 22 points, not quite enough to lift his team past Isaac Quartermeyer and the Cavaliers. Quartermeyer went for 21 on 10 of 13 shooting to help STM escape with the 70-69 win.
Good win for the Cavs. Corsica Stickney was out to dethrone a top team for the second time this year. They'd already beaten Warner, and on Saturday, they looked to take out Langford. The Jaguars got hot in the third behind back-to-back threes from Clayton Menning. They went on to get that 48-40 win. Menning finished with 14 to lead the Jags. Mason Larson, by the way, he set the pace with 16 for Langford. Another great event, great year for the Hanson Classic.
Already looking forward to next year. All right, well, Sioux Falls Christian had a tough schedule in front of them at this time last week. They had an undefeated Vermilion and a very tough Madison team in a 3-day span. They passed the first test with an 84-64 win over the Tanagers. However, they did come up just short, 67-64 against Madison then on Saturday.
Tough team, tough schedule. They handled it with class.
They did.
Let's talk about a Harrisburg sophomore, Janai Ugofsky. She has verbally played now committed to play at USD in a couple years. She currently leads the number one team, that's Harrisburg, in South Dakota Class AA in scoring. So congratulations to Janai.
All right, well, Jack Schaefer from New Rockford, Cheyenne, who will play at Minot State next year, just exceeded the 1,000-point plateau for his career in a win over Midco last week. He's averaging 27 points per night this season. Congrats.
Nice milestone.
Jack. All right, well, coming up next, we're going to take a closer look at a point guard who could also play in the post. More on the versatile Myah Selland after this.
Varsity Sports on Midco Sports Network is presented by Mitchell Technical Institute and Farmers Union Insurance Agency.
Welcome back. We profile a lot of great high school basketball players on this show, but I haven't come across many 6'2" point guards who can D up on the opposing team's post player. But that's exactly what Myah Selland does on a nightly basis. Let's hear more about Myah and her special blend of basketball skills in this week's one-on-one.
Starting at forward, 6'1" senior, number 44, Myah Selland.
Long before dominating games on the high school basketball court, Myah first fell in love with the game in a barn.
A hayloft of one of our barns on the farm. My grandpa converted it into a court, so it's got 2 hoops. It's not very big, and like the 3-point lines overlap and stuff, but it's awesome. Like we shot in there all the time growing up. I still go down to the barn and shoot. If you had a rough day, you could just go down to the farm and go in the barn and kind of just shoot away all your worries.
When things get competitive on the court, Myah is right at home.
I'm definitely a very competitive person. You know, I had a sister and a cousin that are the same age, like 3 years older than me, and we were always going at it. Like, we played everything we did. It was always a competition, and so we've always been competitive with each other, and then that's it was fun. We got to play together, and we were competitive together against, everyone else.
Since those early days on the varsity basketball court playing with their older sister and cousin, Myah has really developed her game.
Physically, she's a lot stronger as she's gotten older and matured, and defensively can guard basically anybody on the court, and those are things that have really evolved since her 7th grade year and on, and those are things that she's continued to work on. And then offensively, her skill set has just evolved where, she's always been that tall, lanky player that was able to get to the hoop, and now she can hit the jump shot and really has developed into an all-around player.
Her combination of height, shooting ability, ball handling, and the ability to defend all positions made her one of the most sought-after recruits in the state. Figuring out where to go to college is a challenge for anyone. But Myah was armed with some good advice from her sister Shelby, who had been through that process just a few years before.
Shelby went through the recruiting process, so I kind of got like a front row seat and that. And so when I got this kind of the same opportunity, it was like, wow, this is like a dream come true.
So Myah set out to choose from an array of area programs, hoping to land her on campus.
I had opportunities, take a couple visits to colleges out of state and, get in a car and drive 6 hours and kind of see. But I think the more I got around and was able to explore, those options, there's something special in South Dakota, so I definitely wanted to stay here.
She ended up choosing South Dakota State. And her future coach, Aaron Johnston, said she came into the recruiting process with the right mindset.
Our interactions with Myah in the recruiting process were exactly what you would want someone of that caliber to be. They were never about, hey, if I come to South Dakota State, how are you going to use me? How am I going to score? How am I going to do things on my own? It was always about, well, I really want to play with some of those great players.
But before heading off to Brookings, this senior hopes to cap her season with another trip to the state tournament.
I think it definitely helps that we've been there. We've gotten to the state tournament. We kind of know what it takes to get to the state tournament. And I think last year was a good learning experience for us. I know I have a lot of girls coming back that got that taste of the semifinal game and then the 3rd and 4th place game. So we're right there. We kind of have a taste of it. So we just have to work hard this season so we can get to that state championship game.
All right, good stuff, Janny. Let's take a look now at Myah Selland's statistics to this point this season. 21.5, better than 21.5 points per game, almost 8 rebounds, 5.5 assists, almost 4.5 steals per game, and almost 2.5 blocks. Those are ridiculous.
They are ridiculous, but these are familiar numbers for Myah. Over the last couple seasons, she's averaged 20+. She's averaged about 7 or 8 boards a game, but the numbers that are really creeping up for her, 5.5 assists per game, 4.5 steals per game, 2.5 blocks per game. So those extra numbers are really what's building and really showing that she has become a true team player at the high school level.
When you talk about her versatility, and it's obviously reflected in the numbers and how widely spread they are, but this is a girl who can go inside, play in the post, but she can certainly handle the point as well. How about this number? 7 turnovers in 11 games. That's incredible.
You know what? Of all the stats we've looked at for Myah, this one is the most impressive. And this is not something that's come easily for her. Over the past couple years, her assist to turnover ratio was right around 1.5 to 2, which is still pretty good. But this year it's at 8.5 to 1. That is unheard of for an assist to turnover ratio. She is crazy good with her ball handling skills.
She's got to hit the 2,000-point plateau here before too long. Real quick at her scoring clip. She's going to be at 1,000 rebounds by the time she's all done as well. I mean, she's
played since 7th grade. Been a starter since her freshman year for sure. Yep.
Exactly. All right. Well, Aaron Johnston at South Dakota State has done a great job getting a lot of great in-state players to come to SDSU, and he is certainly looking forward to adding this young lady coming up next year.
Myah's become a little bit more of a do-everything. She rebounds, she can defend, she can block shots. She's grown some, so now she's over 6 foot tall. But she has still that same instinct as a point guard from her freshman year. So she's a great passer, great at getting people involved. But she's also a great scorer, and she can carry a team.
All right, that again, Aaron Johnston, Myah Selland's future head coach at South Dakota State. Thanks to him for offering his thoughts on his newest prize recruit. All right, well, stay tuned. Coming up, there are a few teams across the Dakotas with tough roads ahead. Jandy's going to zero in on those teams in his basketball forecast next. And welcome back. Travel can be treacherous in the winter for sure, but a few basketball teams have a particularly tough road coming up here in the near future. Jason's going to warn us now of a few teams that are under a travel advisory in this week's basketball forecast.
Thanks, Jay. Some tough travel indeed. Let's start with some of the toughest teams here. We've got Del Rapids. The boys team is really going to challenge themselves. Vermilion, then Flandreau on Monday, then T on Tuesday. Then they have Tri-Valley next Friday, followed by the DAC-12 tournament after that. So some really tough games for Del Rapids. Girls, Sioux Falls, Washington. Yeah, there they are. They're going to be heading east out of the state after playing Brandon Valley on Tuesday. They go to Hopkins and then Eden Prairie, and then they're welcome back to South Dakota with a trip to the Lincoln Gym on February 7. Well, you think that's tough. How about the girls from Ethan? Back-to-back games against unbeaten teams coming up next Monday and Tuesday against Sanborn Central Woonsocket, and then a trip to Trip Delmont Armour on Tuesday. And let's talk about North Dakota now. The boys from Minot, they have really scheduled themselves a tough duo of games. Dickinson on Friday night on the road, and then a nice long road trip down to Madison to play in South Dakota, the top team in Class A. That's a 9 o'clock start on Saturday night. The girls from North Star, we've been talking about their schedule. Hasn't been very tough yet. Well, it gets really tough this week. 2 unbeaten teams in the same stretch. They've got Carrington on Saturday. Then they move over and play Park River at home on Monday. Tough travel indeed. Stay safe, people. Well, do you hear that? I hear something. That's right, it's Thunder. It means the return of the Thunder Report. Let's get some of the best dunks, and let's start with the flyer from Frederick. Alex Sumption gets the feed and then gets the flush. How about this? He plays some defense too. Steals the ball, and he gets it. Now time for a breakaway from Sumption. Did he travel there? It doesn't matter. 1, 2, 3, yeah, 4 or 5 steps. Doesn't matter. Nice dunk, Alex. Let's go to the dunker now from Dells. Sheldon Simmonsma picks up the oop from Tanner Heim. So good. The next one, he just outruns everyone, flushes it from the left side, and then another inbound pass from Heim. Nice job. The oops on defense makes the oop on offense. Nice slam for Simmonsma. Now Sioux Valley. We always get some great slams from Sioux Valley. Tate Vincent, the pick on the breakaway, and he flushes it on the other end. And the big man Trevor Hansen, when he gets it close, he will power it home. Once again, Trevor Hansen gets it on the baseline. He knows what to do with it. Very nice dunk by Trevor Hansen. And the guy who's doing the passing sometimes gets overlooked, but look at Tate Vincent with the pass to the big man, and then this is the ultimate pass right here. Yes, he just went off the glass. That one was special. Trevor Hansen taking it home after a Vincent pass. They know what to do. All right, let's take a look at Isaac Quartermeyer of St. Thomas More at the Hansen Classic. Splits the defense and then rocks the rim. Peyton Maher, look at this. Is this a shot or a pass? It's a very well disguised shot, I believe. I think that was a pass. Maher to Quartermeyer, and he takes it home. Let's take a look now at the next 7 days of basketball games, and as always, we are filled with some awesome matchups. Minot taking on Dickinson on Friday. Saturday, a couple good games. Minot at Madison, we talked about that. In girls action, Warner taking on Sully Buttes. A couple teams with just 1 loss on the year. Monday, we've got Ethan and Sanborn Central Woonsocket, and another undefeated battle in Class B in North Dakota. Same day, Park River taking on North Star, and boys Century taking on Minot.
Next, have you ever been confused by all the different high school basketball rankings you see? Well, so have I. Jason gives his take in the Fast Break next. All right, and welcome back to Varsity Sports. It is time to run the Fast Break. Let's get the shot clock going. This week, we're going to compare Jandy's rankings to the other polls. In South Dakota, you have the Sports Writers poll, as well as the Sportscasters poll. In North Dakota, you have the AP Sportscaster Sports Writers poll.
Right, got it straight.
Got it? All right, well, let's start in South Dakota boys Class AA now. The Broadcasters Sports Writers have Brookings ranked ahead of Rapid City Stevens. You do not. Explain yourself.
You know what? Brookings has been outstanding this year. I'll give them that. They've played a fairly good schedule, including wins over Washington, Brandon Valley, Huron. Their only loss was an overtime loss to Huron, so props to them. That's nice. But if they would have played O'Gorman twice in Campbell County, I'm pretty sure that they'd have a few more losses on their schedule, just like Rapid City Stevens does. And the only team to give O'Gorman a loss this year is Rapid City Stevens. I give a little extra bump for a quality win like that, so I like Stevens a little better.
Okay, let's move to Class A now. The other polls, Sioux Falls Christian, number 4. You have number 2.
I got to scratch my head a little bit on that one. This is a clear case of record bias, okay? They've got 3 in the loss column. People just look at that, and they automatically think, let's put them down a notch or 2. But Christian, they have beaten some great teams. They've lost 2 games in AA, which, if anybody else plays AA games, they're going to have losses. And they beat Del Rapids and Vermilion now by an average of 22 points. Mm-hmm. To me, that is better than a 4th-ranked team, so I just don't get that.
Strength of schedule
don't
should
get that
absolutely play a role in those rankings.
Got to call them out on that
one.
one.
100%. All right, Class B, you're the only one of the 3 rankings that has Chester. Why do they belong in the top 5?
Again, we're talking strength of schedule here. Chester's challenged themselves. They play a lot of games against Class A competition, and just 1 loss this year in Class B, and that was to number 1 Bridgewater Emory. So that's pretty good. I know they've got 5 losses and people just dismiss them for that. But get real here. Are they better than Scotland right now? I think if Chester plays Scotland, I think Chester is definitely the team to beat. Sports Writers have Scotland ranked. More power to them, but I think Chester's better.
All right, let's go South Dakota Girls AA. A lot of agreement among you on this one.
We agree here.
So let's move on to Class A. We see a discrepancy with the other pools, including Bellefouche.
I love you, Bellefouche, but every game you go into, you test yourself. You've won every one of those games. That deserves a pat on the back. It really does. It's not easy to do that, but that doesn't mean you're one of the best teams in the class. Not yet, at least. Too often, I just see undefeated teams that just get inserted into the rankings just because they're undefeated. I still think McCook Central, Montrose, I think there's a couple other teams that are better than Bellefouche just because they haven't, tested themselves yet. And I see the same thing in Class B. Tripp Delmont Armor is ranked right now just because they're undefeated. There's no way they beat a team like DeSmet at this point in the season. I just don't see that.
You see the common thread here? It's just strength of schedule.
I'm just getting this all out. Usually I just keep this to myself. All right, this feels good.
Okay, complete agreement on North Dakota Boys A.
Props to North Dakota.
Let's skip to Boys B. You've got Dickinson Trinity in the top 5. AP doesn't.
Yeah, I do. I did give a shout out to North Dakota. Those people who vote do a great job. I have Dickinson at Trinity at 5. They have them at 6 in their rankings, so no point in arguing on this one.
Girls' rankings virtually identical in Class A. B, you have Langdon Edmore. AP does not.
Again, it's a matter of 1 ranking. I got them 5. They've got them 6, so great job. I've got nothing but praise for the North Dakota poll. They do a great job.
Bringing it heavy toward the South Dakota folks out there this week.
They need somebody to watch them.
All right, well, that was fun. We should do more of that.
We should. I like it.
All right, well, stay tuned. The fun part, speaking of which, about to go down. Jason and I got to make our picks for some of this week's top matchups coming up next.
Varsity Sports on Midco Sports Network is presented by Mitchell Technical Institute and Farmers Union Insurance Agency.
The battle rages on in high school hoops. Pick'em continues to be kind of a neck-and-neck deal, although Jandy's only gotten 1 pick wrong.
Upset guy, though. That makes the difference.
It does
X
help.
factor.
It does help. All right, well, let's see if we can continue this trend in this positive direction this week. Starting with North Dakota girls, Park River at North Star. Can anybody beat the Bearcats?
Well, you know what? Early in the year, I did have Park River ranked number 1. I had North Star number 2, but the last couple weeks have just convinced me that this North Star team, they're a lot better than I thought even, and I thought they were pretty good. Too many weapons. Stephanie Miller doesn't get enough recognition for what she does as an extra scoring option. They're going to beat Park River, I think, because they're at home and they're just that much better.
They've allowed 38 points or less in every game against the Class B team this year. Now, Park River does average 61 a game, so something's going to have to give there. I think it's Park River that's going to give, though. I like North Star as well. North Dakota boys should be a good one here. Minot at Dickinson.
All right, I think we're looking at a team that's ripe for an upset. Minot has got a long winning streak putting together. They're on the road for this one against a team that seems like it's getting better and better. But I'm going to take the champs in this one. I think Minot is going to find a way. They have beaten Dickinson a couple times in a row now. They have their number. I think the Magicians keep the winning streak alive.
So you kind of built it up there like you were going to pick Dickinson, and then whoop, curveball went Minot. I like Dickinson in this game. I think they avenged that December 10th loss against Minot. That was 68-54. They played them tough. Anna Moody, Meiniger. Yeah. I like them to get the win here.
I could be
home.
wrong on this one.
All right, South Dakota girls now. Ethan at Sanborn Central. Woonsock, a great matchup in Class B.
Ethan showed me something at the Hanson Classic when they took St. Thomas More down to the wire. They beat Sully Buttes earlier this year down to the wire, but that's the type of team that can play well at the end of games because they defend so well. So they're going to stay in any game. They've got a plan for Myah Selland. I think Ethan wins this thing. It's going to be a super close game, though.
I like Ethan as well. I think, and for the exact same reason. You hang with St. Thomas More as a Class B team, you've got my attention. And they had my attention already, but there's AA teams that O'Gorman lost to St. Thomas More the night before they played Ethan. And so you got to wonder, how does Ethan stack up against anybody if they're that type of St. Thomas More? They could be
one of the best teams in the entire state regardless of class after that performance.
All right, South Dakota boys, Del Rapids at Vermilion.
Very good game in Class A. A couple teams that are not quite in that elite category, but both very close to that category. We talked about the common opponent. They both played Sioux Falls Christian earlier this year. They both got pounded by Sioux Falls Christian, but if otherwise had great seasons. Del Rapids is a team that can really shoot. They find the inside game might be a little bit better than what Vermilion has, but I like the home team here. I think Vermilion regroups and gets the win on this.
I'm going with Del Rapids, and I like the fact the Quarries avoided the post-Madison win letdown. They came out the next time out. They played well. They got another win. I think they go on the road and beat the Tanagers. Finally, quickly, upset pick.
I'm going to take Wahpeton girls over Fargo Shanley in a little bit of an upset.
A little bit of an upset. I like Milner North Sargent boys over Northern Cass on the road.